Hi guys, this is my third video and it is about the symptoms of borderline personality disorder. This is just going to be a brief overview of the symptoms for anyone who's just been diagnosed and doesn't know much about it, or for those of us who might have someone in our lives who have asked us what BPD is or have asked what the symptoms are, and we think it might be easier for them to watch a video instead of reading an article or a list. So I'd like to make more detailed videos about each of the symptoms in the future, but this is just going to be a brief list of each of them. And this list is coming from the National Institute of Mental Health website at nimh.nih.gov. So according to the 4th edition of the DSM, to be diagnosed with BPD, a person must have at least 5 of the following symptoms. The first one is extreme reactions to abandonment, whether real or perceived. Those extreme reactions can include panic, depression, rage, or frantic actions. So whether a person with borderline personality disorder is truly being abandoned, like a person is ending a relationship or abruptly disappears from our life or cuts us off or something like that, or whether we just kind of think we're being abandoned, like if we if we perceive that someone is talking to us less than they used to, or showing us less affection, or maybe they're not spending as much time with us as they used to, or answering us as fast as we'd like them to, then we might panic or do something really desperate to try to get them to stay. Real extreme fear of abandonment is a big thing for people with BPD. The second symptom is a pattern of intense and stormy relationships with family, friends, and loved ones, often veering from extreme closeness and love to extreme dislike or anger. Another way of saying this is idealization and devaluation. So a person with BPD might idealize the person and idolize them, put them on a pedestal and kind of worship them, think that everything they do is perfect and they can provide us with everything we need and all the meaning in our life. And then the next day or a couple of weeks later or whatever, we demonize them or devalue them, and we don't see what we ever saw in them in the first place, and we think they're all bad and that we don't need them anymore and just we can't stand them. The third one is distorted and unstable self-image or sense of self, which can result in sudden changes in feelings, opinions, values, or plans and goals for the future, like school or career choices. This is not just regular changing your mind, or, even if someone has kind of a radical life change and becomes very spiritual or something like that. This is to the point where it impairs with functioning, like if someone can't hold a job because they don't know what kind of job they want to have, or if they can't stay in one place because they keep switching where they want to live, or they can't get through school because they can't settle on a major, or they can't stay with a group of friends because they don't know what they care about or what they're interested in. And a lot of times we feel like we don't really exist, or we're not a person, unless we have other people around to validate us, other people whose interests and goals and values we can kind of absorb. The next symptom is pretty self-explanatory: impulsive and often dangerous behaviors such as spending sprees, unsafe sex, substance abuse, reckless driving, and binge eating. Next one is also pretty self-explanatory: recurring suicidal behaviors or threats, or self-harming behavior such as cutting. Next one, intense and highly changeable moods, with each episode lasting from a few hours to a few days. So this isn't just like a lot of people might feel grumpy when they wake up, and then happy when something good happens, and then sad when something sad happens, and then whatever throughout their day, like normal variations in your feelings. This is like your feelings are on 10 all the time, where you can go from feeling inspired and ecstatic to incredibly enraged to suicidal in a day. Or you might have several days of feeling suicidal, and then several days of feeling in love with the world and in love with life, to, feeling super ashamed of yourself and full of self-loathing, just all over the place, and it's super intense, kind of distracting from the rest of life. The next one is chronic feelings of emptiness and or boredom, where it's kind of like there's a void that nothing can fill, just completely empty inside. Nothing can make you feel better. Everything's meaningless and purposeless, and nothing will make you feel filled up. Nothing in life, not relationships, not hobbies, not a career, nothing. You're just empty, and you kind of don't feel like a person, just a shell. Um, Next one is inappropriate, intense anger or problems controlling anger. And I think this is the last one. Having stress-related paranoid thoughts or severe dissociative symptoms, such as feeling cut off from oneself, observing oneself from outside the body, or losing touch with reality. So, most people, unless they have another disorder, most people with borderline personality disorder are not dissociative all the time, or not paranoid all the time, but when we're very stressed out, might have paranoid thoughts or might dissociate, which is, for some people, can just be that thing where you kind of feel like you're watching yourself from above or from across the room, um, or where you feel like you're not really yourself, you're not really the one choosing what you do. And for some people, it can be as severe as missing chunks of time where you don't know what you were doing, because you completely dissociated from control of your brain, sort of. So those are the symptoms of borderline personality disorder. Like it says, not everyone with BPD has all the symptoms. You just have to have 5 of the symptoms for a significant amount of time. It also notes that seemingly mundane events may trigger symptoms, so it's not something like, a death of a loved one. That definitely can trigger stuff, but for people with borderline personality disorder, it could be something really small, like something that a person says that kind of rubs us the wrong way and sets off, a pattern of thought that leads to, cutting, or leads to intense anger, or leads to paranoia or something like that. And it gives an example. People with BPD may feel angry and distressed over minor separations like vacations, business trips, or sudden changes of plans from people to whom they feel close. Also, it notes that studies show that people with this disorder may see anger in an emotionally neutral face, which is really important, I think, that affects us. That a lot of times we think that people are angry at us when they're not, because when people look neutral, we see anger. And people with borderline personality disorder also have a stronger reaction to words with negative meanings than people who do not have the disorder. So, for example, if someone says to me, "That's ridiculous," or "Don't be ridiculous," most people might find that a little maybe offensive, or maybe not. I don't know what normal people feel sometimes. But something like that would probably affect me very strongly, because to me that's negative and I feel criticized and offended, and so it might, depending on how I'm doing that day, might really set me off. So that's a brief overview of the symptoms. Tried to keep it brief, and I'll try to get into each symptom in more detail soon in the future. Thank you for watching, and there should be information on my page for other places to contact me or follow me. Thank you very much. Bye.